So today's webinar is cool, to say the least. As somebody who works on multiple projects and has tried to come up with great acronyms, I thought I was decent at it until we invited our presenters today to present on Project Cool. So, of course, today is May 1st, 2025. Before we jump into the webinar, I've got a small update, and that is about the OSEP conference. It is scheduled for August 5th through 7th. There's a question mark on that. I don't think you need to read between the lines on that question mark. I've actually gone and made my reservations at the conference hotel for that. So I look forward to seeing the people who will be in attendance to that this year. I believe it's a smaller number of people who are invited to that. So one person from each SPDIG, a director, I believe, unless you're presenting, then there's a little wiggle room to get one more person in. If anybody on the line knows more about that than what I just said, feel free to put that in the chat. Also, we're excited to be holding the the SPDIG National Meeting in October. That's October 15th and 16th. This year, unfortunately, it will be virtual. I always enjoy seeing people in person and reminding myself faces and names and voices that goes with faces and names, and really getting to know the fantastic group of people that make up the SIG Network membership. That said, very excited to be able to do it virtually also, and that'll probably open up other avenues of engagement as well. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce Jenna Gravel, Brian Dean, and Layla Lester, who will be talking about supporting instructional coaching with Project Cool. So with that, Jennifer, Brian, and Layla, welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule to put together this presentation and join us today and share your project.
Thanks so much, John. We are so excited to be here with all of you. So thank you for the invitation. I'm here with my colleagues, Brian and Layla, and we're just going to get our slides set up so we'll be ready to go. Brian and Layla, I'm not sure if either one of you are ready to share slides or I can do it.
I will be honest with you. I think there might be a slight lag in my internet today. My internet's nervous to be presenting in front of all these folks, so trying to coax it and make it happy. So I don't know that I'll be the greatest to present the slides to push them forward.
Okay.
Share. I just got it, Jenna.
Oh, good. Thanks, Layla. Then we are ready to go.
Layla, you don't always have to show me up. You don't always have to show me up, Layla. She works very hard. I do not, everyone. So she always looks better than I.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
So sorry. Okay, we're really excited to join you all. Our presentation today, we're going to be talking about supporting instructional coaching with Project Cool. We do have, I guess since I'm sharing my screen, Jenna, could you pop the links into the chat?
I just did, yes.
Okay.
I just put the link to the digital handout right in the chat.
Right, so we have the digital handout that you can use to follow along, and then also there's a QR code on the screen if you want to. Sometimes people will like take a picture and pull it up on their phone as well. So welcome. To get us started, we want to think about introducing ourselves. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat by sharing what is something cool about you that most people don't know. So I will kick us off with something cool about myself, which it's kind of hard because I felt like I actually I'm a very relationship-oriented person, so I immediately went to different relationships. But something cool about me is that I have a sister who is 20 years younger than me, and we are going to be doing some baking tomorrow because she doesn't have school. Jenna, do you want to share something cool about yourself?
Oh, I love that. That's great. What are you going to bake, Layla?
She wants to make cake pops. I don't love making cake pops. I want to make challah bread because I haven't in a long time. So we might just do both.
Oh, I love that. Well, you'll have to let us know how it turns out. My name's Jenna Gravel, and I'm a senior research scientist at CAST, and I'm also right now serving as our interim chief research and development officer. And I am also the principal investigator of our cool project, which we'll be sharing with you today. We work with an incredible team, so I just feel so grateful to work with such amazing colleagues. And I've been trying to think about something cool. I think Layla and Brian have encouraged me that maybe this is a cool thing about me, but my son Owen and I both play trumpet, and we've been playing in a summer concert band for the past 3 years. So this is just a really wonderful group of some very talented musicians and some not so talented musicians who just love playing. And we have my son Owen, who's 13 now. He's our youngest member. And it goes all the way up to musicians who are in their 80s and 90s and who have been playing for their entire lives. So it's a really kind of amazing multi-generational group that really welcomes in players of all abilities. So I feel like if I said I was in like a rock band or something, that might have been a little cooler, but I still think this is a pretty special thing. And to be able to do this with my son is just a really wonderful thing too. So Brian, I'll pass it off to you to share something cool about yourself.
For Brian, we
Jeez,
have to
I
put an
don't
asterisk. Cool and true, Brian. Cool and true.
That's right.
don't start it off like that. Like people are gonna think that everything that I say is not true. Um, what something cool about me? You know what? I don't even know if Layla and Jenna know this. I paint a lot. I do a lot of work in acrylics and oils, and my style is mostly kindergarten. Uh, and then I usually display it on my refrigerator, and it makes me feel good about myself when I walk by it. And I'm like, no, I did do a good job. Give myself little stickers and things like that. It's a lot of fun. So it's mostly abstract stuff, and I try to. One of my favorite artists is Jean-Michel Basquiat, so I try to paint in a style that is very similar to that. Yeah, is that cool? I don't know.
Very cool.
I mean, it's no
Yes.
trumpet or olive bread. It's not. It's no trumpet or olive bread. That's for sure.
Is there anyone else who would like to share something cool about themselves, either in the chat or out loud?
You know that you got something cool. And the thing is, it's probably really cool. You just don't think it is, right? And so you're like, I don't really want to tell people that I make balloon animals or, you know,
Ooh, I'll
whatever
chime
might
in. I
be.
did make balloon animals one time, Brian.
Really, how'd
Although
it go?
mostly I'm good at snakes,
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's awesome.
right?
That's fantastic.
I
Sounds like
got
my painting.
Yeah, I've got snakes dialed in, but I guess one cool thing, you all heard me talking about skiing. Last weekend, I had a great day of skiing. I've got a 15-year-old daughter who is excelling at skiing and found a good friend who is at the same level as her. So the three of us went skiing. They, of course, don't want to ski with me, so they took off and did their thing. And they did a charcuterie board on their skis for
Hmm.
lunch. So they found a nice
Wow.
spot with a good lookout and did a charcuterie board on their skis. And then, of course, since it's spring, the skiing only lasts so long before the snow becomes sticky from being too wet. And so after that, I took mountain bikes for them and we stopped and I took them mountain biking on the way home. So that was kind of a two sport day for them. And I think they had a good time.
Wow. Yeah, that is pretty neat. I just saw in here that Anne Marie from Maine, you milk goats and make cheese and soap with it. Are these your goats or just like random goats that you might find? You don't have to tell us. It's okay.
No,
You don't have to tell us.
I
If you want
agree.
to keep it quiet, I get it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. They are my goats, and currently I have 3 baby kid goats too. So
Oh,
super
wow.
cute, dancing around the farm.
That is cool. You folks are pretty talented. I'm just looking through these. We have Laura who likes to write poetry. We have Stacy who dances like Beyonce, which is amazing. It's baritone sax player. So that's Jenny Jarvis from Montana. So you guys need to get together and have a Zoom jam session. I don't know what that would be called, but that worked out. And then rock collectors and lots of cool folks.
This is great. Thank you all for sharing.
So we like to start off our presentations at CAS just really being transparent about our accessibility promise and some of the things that we do throughout our presentation to make it more accessible. So I'm not going to list everything on this list, but some of the things that we do throughout the presentation is try to make sure that we're keeping our background simple and we have high contrast text. We are captioning videos, and when we have different images, we'll make sure to try to describe them. And then there's a couple other things on this list that we'll do as well throughout our presentation. If there's anything that you need during our presentation, feel free to pop it in the chat and we will do our best. I'm not monitoring it as well, but I know Jenna and Brian will help me out there.
That's right. We're on it.
So this project was a collaboration between 3 different organizations. We're representing CAS. We also worked with the University of Kansas and I feel like I cannot talk today. The University of Kansas and Evergreen Evaluation and Consulting is our outside evaluator for this project. So some of our goals for this session, we want to explore the goals of the project pool, coaching on learning materials. We want to explore how instructional coaching can support the use of UDL, HLPs, and EBPs in education settings, identify and explore resources to support you to apply UDL, HLPs, and EBPs in your professional practice. And we also welcome you to create your own goals for today. So you can feel free to share those goals with us all together. Also, you can put them in the digital handout or just jot it down for yourself as well. So we like to start off by thinking about student voices. So I'm going to share this video, and I didn't double check to make sure I shared for sound. Now I think I'm good.
School right now is a place I go to learn how to copy, how to answer a question on a test correctly, how to beat the system. All we're doing is learning for tests and not learning for life.
It's the way it's being taught, it's just making kids lose interest in it.
Sitting in a classroom for 8 periods a day.
It's the same thing over and over again until you go home.
I hear my friends saying like, I'm exhausted, I have stress, I have anxiety.
I see what's stacked up against me and I'm overwhelmed by it.
High school is a very vulnerable place.
The schools are where a lot of kids lose their self.
People are afraid to share their dreams.
If someone can't feel safe, then they can't open up their mind or just say their opinion or idea.
They bring up all these people to create the curriculum, but not ask us what we want to learn.
I can't speak for everyone, but my experience is school is setting me up for failure.
My name is Sophie.
Taj.
Destiny.
Usman.
Angela.
Travella.
Will.
Caitlin.
Raul, otherwise known as Real Talk.
My future school would be, it's like so vivid in my mind right now.
They would have options for learning environments.
At a park
Or be in a museum.
Instead of sitting in a class and learning from a textbook.
Teach how will all this matter to you in the future.
Creating a curriculum that's so interdisciplinary.
In English, we would write books. We would write our thoughts down for the future generations.
It would be so cool if There was an entire class dedicated to creating structures, from your imagination.
And there would be a class called Life, where we just talk about things that we're experiencing in life and how we could overcome it.
It breeds an environment of collaboration.
A lot of partner work, a lot of group activities.
They can communicate with each other and help each other achieve their dreams.
Instead of having like a parent-teacher conference, I think there should be student-teacher conferences.
To teach a person not only about math, science, reading and writing,
but also help students find out who they are as people.
The future school is adventurous,
Collaborative,
creative,
Energetic, inspiring,
fun,
Passionate.
It'll be awesome. Oh, I'm really excited now.
school.
All right, so now, thank you, Jenna, for putting the link to the video in the chat. Now I think we're going to move into some breakout rooms, and we're just going to kind of think about what in this video resonated with you, what questions it raised. And again, you have your digital handout where you can take some notes, or if you want to take them individually, we can do that as well. Is there anything, Jenna or Brian, that you all want to add before we move into breakout rooms?
Yeah, I would say this, or would ask for this. It's pretty obvious action is here with students, right? And how this connects to UDL but we're here to talk about a project around coaching and mentoring. And so if we could broaden that concept to what does this mean for mentoring other teachers, mentoring new teachers, mentoring teachers, mentoring vendors or experienced teachers, and what does this look like, or what may it look like in the sense of coaching?
That's some great framing. Thank you, Brian. So I think we can head into breakout rooms. We said we would be in breakout rooms for about 5 minutes, just so we can all be reflecting on this video. And as Layla said, please feel free to document your ideas in the digital handout. You'll find a space there right for you in the document.
Great, so I'll go ahead and open the rooms. I've got it set up to where it's about 3 or 4 people for each room, and we will come back in 5 minutes. Let me go ahead and apologize ahead of time. I am sorry for cutting off any deep conversation in about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Yes, Amanda and Sandra, I hope we get to reconnect because I was enjoying our conversation. So now we thought we would just start off with a little bit of background on our project, on Project Cool. And as Layla said, COOL stands for that Coaching on Learning. So that's where we got our really fun acronym. And our goals for this project are to develop, pilot, and implement a coaching model to support systemic UDL implementation with research-based practices to support better learning, social, and behavioral outcomes for students with and without disabilities. So as Layla mentioned when she was kind of describing our goals for today, this project uses a lot of acronyms. So we've been joking about that since the beginning, that there's lots of letters here to keep track of. But we are really focused on the intersection of UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, high leverage practices, HLPs, and evidence-based practices, EBPs. And our project has really kind of aimed to explore how we can be supporting coaches and ultimately teachers to kind of explore the intersection of these 3 approaches and really leverage them in complementary ways to make sure that we're designing these inclusive classrooms with lots of space for options and all the things that we were hearing from those student voices when we were showing that video to begin with. And on the slide now is our cool coaching cycle. And we developed this to support the adoption and use of UDL, HLPs, and EBPs in instructional settings. So the kind of image represents a cycle, and the cycle is divided into 3 phases: plan, try, and reflect. So with the plan phase, we're really trying to emphasize here how coaches and teachers can be working together to be setting goals that feel really challenging and meaningful and relevant to the educators and coaches that are working together. So we really encourage coaches and teachers to be thinking about, like, what are the data that they're curious about, or is there a particular problem of practice that they're wrestling with? And that can kind of guide them towards setting a really clear and meaningful goal. And then this phase also emphasizes coaches and teachers coming together and bringing an inquiry stance to this process of creating more inclusive spaces. So really thinking together about, like we said, what is it that they're curious about? Or what are they kind of going to explore in order to make meaning together? And just finding that really kind of inquiry-driven perspective is so important to this process. So at the plan phase, then we move into the try phase. So with this phase of the cool coaching model, we're really emphasizing modeling. So in this phase is when coaches might model a particular implementation of the coaching plan. And this might be maybe when coaches are kind of modeling how we might apply UDL in conjunction with HLPs or EBPs, or how we might use different tools and resources, or how we might use different measures to be collecting data. So we really wanted to kind of emphasize this idea of modeling in the try phase, and then moving from modeling into this idea of guided practice, so that when educators are feeling ready and confident to start trying something new in their practice, they know they have that kind of as needed support from the coach that they're working with. And then we move into the reflect phase. And this phase emphasizes the importance of feedback. So using identified tools and measures, the coach and educator can collect data together as the educator is working to kind of implement that goal or implement the instructional plan. And then really continuing that collaboration into the analysis phase. So whatever kinds of data they're gathering together, they can also be looking for themes and patterns among that data, and then thinking together about next steps. And then another part of this reflect phase is the self-assessment phase. And with this, we really like to encourage self-assessment on behalf of both the coach and the teacher. So encouraging teachers to kind of reflect on their own practice, what was working for them, what have they learned, and then at the same time, encouraging coaches to be really thoughtful about, the different approaches that they're taking to the mentorship, into the coaching, and what's working well and what's not. And we really like to emphasize a lot of communication here and a lot of reflection, so that we can ensure that there's some iteration on what's not working and more growth. And of course, we kind of represented this as a cycle, knowing that this would be an iterative process and that we can kind of continue the cycle together as coaches and teachers really refine their working relationships together in their collaboration. And one big thing that we were really aware of as a team as we were developing this model is wanting to be intentional about creating a model that would be flexible enough to fit into the coaching cycles that might already exist in the schools that we got to partner with through this project. So we wanted to be very sure that we were really honoring the existing coaching structures and processes that were in place. We didn't want to come in with this brand new model and kind of have coaches and teachers feel like they needed to take that on if they felt like their own coaching cycles were working well. So we tried to kind of build in a lot of flexibility into this cool coaching cycle to, again, really honor the structures in place at the schools where we got to collaborate with coaches and teachers. So
I'm sorry.
yeah, Brian, go for it.
So one of the things I love about our coaching model is that it really is based in this ontological kind of system, right? Where it is about personal reflection and it is about examining beliefs and being asset based, because UDL is an asset based framework, and so are HLPs and EBPs, and bringing all those. You have to create some place where that type of reflection is open, and a coach's job is to be transformative, or at least be a transformative influence in a teacher's teacher's life or an educator's life, no matter what level, or whether they're experienced or not experienced or whatever it may be. It's not just providing resources, right? Because that's easy enough to do. We have this thing called the internet, that kind of gives us a ton of those, right? But it's more about like, how do we set the stage, and how do as educators do we examine our beliefs, not just the things that went wrong, but our beliefs about learning and our beliefs about students and what the process of learning can look like. And then you overlay that with UDL, and you overlay that with the HLPs and EBPs, and all of a sudden you have this really appreciative model that takes into account what are our strengths, but also, says where do we need some work. So it's meta coaching.
I love it. That's great. So as we mentioned before, we've got lots of acronyms going. I see in the chat that there are never enough acronyms in education, never too many. But we did want to just like pause and make sure that we were all kind of connecting with the same understanding of these different acronyms that we're using. So we're guessing and kind of anticipating that lots of you have knowledge about these approaches, but we did want to just offer some quick background. So what we have on the slide here are our Universal Design for Learning guidelines. And the UDL framework is really kind of the guiding and overarching framework for this entire project. And we're really using that as the framework for helping us to guide the design of inclusive and accessible learning environments that are going to value and challenge every learner. So for just a quick introduction, the UDL framework is based on 3 principles, and we really kind of wove these principles across our project in a lot of different levels. Like we were kind of thinking from the coaching perspective, how could we be weaving principles of UDL into the ways that coaches are able to support teachers? And then thinking at a second level of how are we supporting coaches to support teachers to be implementing UDL and applying UDL to their practice, to be reducing barriers and increasing access for learners. So for us, it was kind of a fun challenge to be thinking about UDL at these different levels that were going on with the COOL project. But to just offer a little bit of background on the 3 principles. So with UDL, we're thinking about multiple means of engagement. And this is the idea of really wanting to design options to spark learners' motivation and curiosity, and at the same time be really intentional about the ways that we're creating spaces of belonging for learners in different learning spaces. The second principle, multiple means of representation, and this is the idea of supporting learners to access and make meaning of content through a range of modalities. And then multiple means of action and expression, and this is the idea of supporting learners to navigate through learning experiences and to be communicating ideas in lots of different and flexible ways. So the image on the screen is our UDL guidelines, which I shared, and this is actually our most recent iteration. This is version 3.0 that we just launched in July of last year. So this has also been another really interesting dimension for our project to be kind of thinking about some of the new themes that are included in Guidelines 3.0 and how those are supporting us and kind of challenging us to think about UDL in new ways through the lens of this project as well. And so next up with our next acronym, High Leverage Practices, HLPs. And these are a set of foundational, high quality, effective teaching practices designed to be implemented across K-12 settings. And so we really were curious to start thinking about what are some of the overlaps between different UDL guidelines and those kind of considerations that come with each UDL guideline and the different HLPs. So this image on this slide represents the 4 areas of practice: collaboration, assessment, social, emotional, behavioral, and instruction. And then the 22 HLPs, which are inside the box on the slide, are representing how these practices go across all 4 areas of practice. And with HLPs, we can be thinking about them kind of as like general practices that can be implemented across any population, any content domain, and any grade level. So when we're thinking about kind of the overlaps with Universal Design for Learning as another tool that has kind of the flexibility to think about any population, any content domain, any grade level, we were really excited to kind of start seeing how we can be bringing these two frameworks or these two approaches together through this project. And then we entered in another approach too with evidence-based practices or EBPs. And these are practices that are reliably likely to improve student outcomes when implemented with fidelity. And this is based on high quality scientific research. So we're thinking about research studies that are meeting a certain methodological requirement in terms of rigor and utilizing appropriate research designs to evaluate practice effectiveness, and looking at the results and making sure that these are resulting in significant and meaningful changes for students with disabilities. And when we're working with coaches and thinking about EBPs, we often are asking questions when we're trying to figure out what particular EBPs might be useful in our practice, thinking about what works, for whom, and under what conditions. So those are kind of like the guiding questions that help us to focus in on particular EBPs. And we have 3 images on this screen. The image to the left is a classroom workspace with some optional task cards for students to select in order to get some support in completing the assignment. So that idea of task cards there as a way to support students with effort and persistence, and another way to be supporting their engagement within the space. The image in the middle is a sample project chart board, and within this chart are different images with corresponding text depicting different options from different EBP tasks that students might want to choose from. So this was another example of kind of embedding choice into the learning activity as another way to be supporting student engagement. And then the image on the right is showing some storage bins with more task cards. And these, again, are some different selections for students. So this is another example of kind of bringing in different ways for students to be able to be making the selections and choices based on what's right for them in that moment, based on their preferences, and based on their learning needs. So we wanted to just kind of offer those as some examples. But that was kind of like another layer as we're digging deeper into exploring evidence-based practices and kind of seeing the overlap between UDL, among and between UDL and HLPs. And so as we mentioned before, we got to work with some really wonderful participants through this project, working with both coaches and teachers at the elementary school level. And so we wanted to just share a couple of lessons learned with you all. The first one is that coaches and educators are feeling really eager for support in weaving together UDL, HLPs, and EBPs. And it was interesting, even as we were recruiting participants for this study, you could sense that a lot of educators were like, you know, sensing that intersection and knowing there was that overlap and that resonance between these 3 approaches, but just not totally sure how the details fit together. So knowing there was kind of that natural intersection, but the details in terms of like the how might we implement these 3 approaches in complementary ways wasn't totally clear. So that was a great kind of question for us to be exploring through this process. And then another lesson learned was thinking about the coaches and how they were so eager to be able to access different resources to use with the teachers who they were supporting and mentoring. And they were really kind of wondering about different approaches in terms of ways to be supporting teachers' engagement in the coaching cycle, and to be kind of thinking about what are those particular kind of coaching practices that they might be able to integrate into their own practice as a coach. So we felt really lucky to be able to work with such wonderful practitioners who were so eager to kind of be sharing the questions that were surfacing for them. And that really helped guide our team in terms of the different resources that we were creating. So we're going to pause now and give you some time for you to start reflecting on this intersection of UDL and HLPs and EBPs. And we thought we would model the use of a tool for you. So we'll see how this goes, but we have the shared whiteboard. That's a interactive tool embedded right into Zoom. So we thought if you'd like, you could try out the shared whiteboard and use it to represent how you might be imagining this intersection. So within the shared whiteboard, Brian will do a little demo for us, but there are
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know I was doing the
we
demo.
talked about this, don't worry. But there's different ways to add text and images and drawings. So we thought this might be a nice opportunity to just kind of pause and let you start thinking about how are you thinking about this really interesting intersection that we were able to explore.
Yeah, so I really love this kind of concept. Cultures of thinking, Project Zero stuff I find interesting, especially when it comes down to like colors, symbols, and images, right? Like, what is the color of this intersectionality, or what is the color of justice, let's say, or what is the symbol for intersectionality in this sense, of these things kind of meeting, and you can either doodle it, you can draw with you can draw with your. Right now, I'm drawing a line. I guess it's a really long line. I'm sorry, it said that I paused. So yeah, you can draw with it. You can throw in a sticky note if you want of a different color, and you can type within that sticky note if you so desire. You can use emojis or stickers that they kind of have there for you. Like I'm going to put in a heart right now, and I'm just going to stamp it right there. There's just a ton of different ways that you can kind of interact with this. If you just want to draw, or if you just want to text your answer, you can create a text box and you can go ahead and pin your answer of this intersectionality or where these things meet and what that brings to mind for you. You may want to draw like I don't know, maybe you draw a lightning bolt, or maybe you use a lightning bolt because it really strikes home for you. Or maybe you're like, yes, this is the answer to like getting general ed to understand not just special education, but more importantly, specially designed instruction, and how we all have a responsibility in that, or how we can all do that, right? And how high leverage practices follow UDL in the sense that we make them universal, and we don't know necessarily what kids need them or don't need them. We just know that they exist and students use them. Whatever it may be, we're going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to mess around not only with this tool, but really kind of get at this more visceral reaction to what these things entail, or the hope that we hold for them or not. So I'm gonna go silent for a little while, and we're just gonna get our artist on. I see some people have already somebody put in a Venn diagram, so that's cool. And don't worry if you get frustrated. Like I got frustrated several times when using this. It's okay. I was just watching the bar graph, and then somebody dropped out. I was like, that's cool. I was wondering, oh, you put a donut in instead. Very nice. Cool. We have somebody that put in a yellow sticky. You can also follow other people if you click on their cursor. You can follow them around. Like I was kind of like low key stalking John through this, mostly because I didn't realize I was following him. But
guess
All
my
right,
ears
so
were burning or whatever the equivalent of that is for a Zoom stalker, Brian.
right, yeah, there it is. There you go. So I'm just going to open it up and ask if anybody is brave enough and wants to explain what they kind of threw into the whiteboard. And if you have to zoom all the way up because it's like this infinite place, so which is kind of neat in its own way.
While people are getting the nerve, I'll go ahead and chime in. I did the rainbows. Rainbow, I guess that's wheat, and then a tulip. And my thought was that it's really inclusive way to foster growth.
Yeah. Yeah, that is great. I don't know what else to say on top of that, but like that's exactly what's wonderful about the whiteboard. Jenna, did you draw something in here?
I did. Mine is that attempt at some sort of tapestry, like thinking of how UDL and HLPs and EBPs could be kind of woven together, but it didn't come out
Nice.
exactly how I wanted it
That's
to. So I
okay.
used the sticky note to make sure that I was going to still be able to represent the idea.
I love it though. Like that's the whole idea is like it's not about necessarily what it is that is drawn, right? I'm sorry, not about the detail of it or the expertise behind it, is about capturing the feeling of it. Layla,
Yeah.
you know that I'm gonna search you out and find you too and ask you if you put anything in.
I did not draw anything. I was watching what other people were drawing, Brian.
Yeah, yeah. I was calling you out. I'm sorry. I do like this. I do like this meme that's in here, of the llama in like in like these really great like monastic robes, almost like watering flowers. Who put that in? I'm just curious.
I did.
That is fantastic, Amanda. All right, so overall it seems pretty positive. No thumbs down, which is really great. Or dumpster fire. So I think we all kind of are on the same page here. All right. And I think that starts to bring us into, you can keep playing with it if you want, if you get tired of hearing me talk, which, I might jump in there too. Uh, but it kind of brings us into, so then what did we do with all of that? So we had this great idea, and it is this really cool way of looking at meta coaching and ontological coaching, and saying that there's power in that. And it's really, to me, why I was brought onto the project, and I was really excited about this concept of us not just like doing this double loop kind of generative learning around what are our assumptions of learning and what are our assumptions of teaching and what are our assumptions of coaching and what that means, and not just like what is the problem that needs to be solved, but like it goes back to beliefs. And so it became exciting, and I do believe that this is this really great way of bringing specially designed instruction and not making it something that is unapproachable or seen as unapproachable by our general ed teachers, and our special ed teachers kind of working together. We just all kind of become educators, which dope idea in my opinion. But then like, how are you going to get about it? Like, how are you going to get down to it and do it? And so that's when we started scoping out what this idea would look like of what kind of resources would exist in the Cool ecosystem. So if you go to, yep. So the first thing that we did, and I don't know if you have them up, Layla, do you have them up on a different tab that we can share out the tab? You'll get a chance, folks, to kind of look at these if you want. I have it up if you, okay. So one of the first things that we did, and it was a big undertaking, is that we created a Canvas course. And we put a bunch of different modules together. And we started to think about, well, what would we need if any coach, let's say you're a literacy coach, didn't have an understanding of HLPs or EBPs or UDL, or if you were a quality instruction coach, what would that look like, or whatever it may be. So we started with building these modules out, and you'll get a chance to be able to go to those and check them out. But if you can scroll down and kind of show how many modules we have, there's a total of 17 modules. We're working to kind of combine some of them so that it's a little more digestible. But we have a couple different areas. We have this build foundations area where it's just the foundations of either coaching or the foundations foundations of UDL or foundations of EBPs or the foundations of HLPs. And they're just module systems and they're pretty quick. We built them using Rise and we're trying to translate them over. But we built them so that they're almost tactical in the sense that you can go in, they're all open and free form. You can go in and you can grab bits of information. You can do it on your lunch break. You can sit down and do an entire series or entire level if you want to, but it's made to be super practical and kind of get at the philosophical work and the theoretical work, but also to give you some really practical resources and things to do like tomorrow. I like to call it Monday someday. Like Monday I can do this thing. Someday I need to do this, but that's going to take a little bit more work. And so we have one that's on foundations. We have some on supporting instructional practices. We have a lot around our promoting strategic teams. How do you build skill level teams, right, that can take a look at the data, and crunch numbers and can say, we need to pair this with what we know is quality instruction and what we know is good for students and balance both that qualitative and that quantitative data. So we put together a series that looks at that and gives some protocols and gives some routines around that, but also says, are you making sure that you're pulling this out and that you're looking at this? So those are cool modules. We'll give you, like I said before, we'll give you some time to look at those a little bit. We also then said, well, that's great, but we keep talking about, we see this intersection. We see these things that work so well together, but sometimes we need to make that very, very apparent. And especially if you're coming into this and you're brand new to it. So we created this crosswalk, what guides coaches and teachers in exploring their interconnectedness. And yep, they're right here. And so we put those together and it's a nice little PDF. You'll be able to look at that in a bit as well. That kind of gives the point of it, the introduction, the reasoning, and then starts to break those down. Each section of where these things have interconnectedness starts to break them down and explain it. And then those are hyperlinked out so you can find other resources around those. And then just looking at our time, one of the final things that we did was, oh, I'm sorry, Patty, do you have a question? No? Okay. You're just saying hi. That's cool. The last thing that we did is we were like, well, this is all great in this theoretical sense, but what does it really look like? And who's been doing this? And so we brought a bunch of folks together, some really they were on our project, but they also, they're also in the field and they've done some great work in the field. And so we created a video series that you go watch, and it offers insights and perspectives into how do you put not only the cycle into place, but how do you start to interweave these pieces so that they become seamless and they just become part of your language? We have administrators, we have some implementation specialists, we have some teachers, we have some coaches, all kind of talking about what this starts to look like as they put it together. And then if you go to the next one, this is, before we get into this, I just want to open it up to my colleagues and ask if there's anything that I missed or did not highlight or that you want to add.
I think you did a great job. I did just note accessibility is so important to our team. And with the crosswalk, the link that we have now, because it's not our totally final version, we're giving you some sneak previews today. We just wanted to note
exclusives.
That's right, exclusives. The crosswalk is not yet fully accessible. It's going through a process of remediation, and we will be posting a fully accessible PDF version on our website, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be in touch with that. But we just wanted to let you know about not quite up to the standard we're hoping for accessibility quite yet.
And so with that, if you take a look on the side there, and you can download these slides and you can look at them, but we want to give you a chance to kind of dive into some of those resources and take a look, poke around, kick the tires, see if anything if anything's broken. And so we're going to frame it in these questions of, again, pretty open-ended. What resonates with you? How might you use these resources in your context? And what suggestions, if you have any or you find any, for improving the resources? And those would be our modules, our crosswalk, and the video series. And I don't have my chat open for some reason. But we should have those in the, yep, we have those all linked within the chat right now. And we're going to turn you loose for about 10 minutes so you can drive around. Sound good? And of course, you can document any of those things in digital handout that we had put up before.
And John, is there a way to set out the breakout rooms so people could choose which breakout room they wanted to go in according to the different resource they wanted to explore?
I think that's a great idea. So I'll go ahead and make 3 breakout rooms. One will be modules, one will be crosswalk, and one will be video series.
Perfect.
Give me just a moment to
Sorry if
do
we weren't
that.
clear enough about that.
No, that's
Can
fine.
I just,
Prepping.
can we just give it up to John for a minute for being like involved, like as a moderator, being involved, joining in on the discussion and being quick and responsive? Can we just give him a shout out for that? John, what are they paying you? Are they paying you enough? They're taking care of you? Are you good?
Are you kidding me? Just being part of the group is plenty of payment, in my opinion.
Look at this guy. Come on now.
Brian,
Look at
you
this
know,
guy.
it's a fantastic group, and I think that comes across to you maybe as
Yeah.
placating, maybe is the right word.
No.
But I
no.
don't mean it that way at all, because I really appreciate the group and what everybody brings to it. And it's, sorry, let me focus here just
Sure,
one second.
sure.
Recreate. I'm getting closer. You know, I'm in academia, and it's not always that people are so sharing. A lot of times there's, you know, intellectual property concerns, and people like to hold their cards close to their chest. But really, among this group, can you give me the names of those again real quick? Sorry.
Yep. It's the crosswalk,
Crosswalk.
modules, and then video series.
Thank you. Modules. Really, among this group, it is about sharing, and
That's dope.
that the sum is greater than the parts. And so, you know, it really is payment to me to be part of that and engage with the groups that way. So I'm going to go ahead and open these 3 rooms. People can go ahead and select one. We'll spend about 10 minutes on this, so we'll come back at 10 past the top of the hour. Oh, I didn't say thank you yet, Brian. Thank you for calling me out for that. I appreciate hearing
No,
it.
man. No. It's
So-
so honest and genuine too, brother. I do appreciate it.
Awesome.
I do appreciate you.
So we'll come back at 10 past the top of the hour. Hopefully people have grabbed the links that they need to explore and have fun exploring it. And we'll see you in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good. Hopefully that was a useful time to explore in your breakout rooms, and hopefully there were no more barriers accessing any of the resources. Thank you all for your patience. But we just wanted to kind of
Jenna?
open it up and learn from everyone's reactions to these different resources. And as I was saying in our breakout room, we are still very eager for feedback. Even though we're kind of toward the end of our process, we have been continuing to iterate on these 3 resources after gathering lots of feedback from our study participants, but we'd still love to learn from your perspectives too.
Jenna, I just have to say, my group was incredibly mean to me. Like they made fun of me and they said awful things about the modules and kind of hurt my feelings after going in and having John be so nice. And no, I'm just kidding. My group was really great. They're really fantastic. Yeah, so I guess that's our last, that's if you go to the last one, that's kind of our big question of, you know, like I said before, I really like Monday, someday lists. Like Monday is something that I can enact today, you know, or, you know, Monday. And then someday is something that might happen, like I want to happen, but it might take me a little more time to plan out resources or to build momentum or something like that. So just using that as a framing tool, you know, if you take a look at these, what is a Monday action that you may have, and what is a Sunday action that you may have with these? And you can throw it in the chat, or you can just kind of talk out about it if you want, or you can just ask us questions.
This is Laura from Pennsylvania. I just wanted to share that I'm going to be looking more into these tools and considering different ways on the different, teams that I work with, how we could potentially bring these into our projects. Really thinking of accessibility. I really did, just from the short time I had in the modules, enjoyed kind of, I see all the work that was put into it, and I can see that it was really laid out, and the content. And I know, Brian, you were talking about the reflective piece, which I think is so key and critical. So having that reflective piece with a lot of insight, I want to dive deeper into that and explore it. But I could see all of these as being great resources to our teams. So thank you for sharing them.
That's great feedback. Thank you, Laura. And I think we were, like, in the design of the modules and really with all the resources, so intentional about using a UDL lens to design the modules, right? So that participants would be exploring in the modules and kind of feeling like this is what it feels like to be a learner in a digital environment that's been so intentionally designed with UDL. So I think that we say at CAST that's such a wonderful way to learn about UDL, is to be experiencing it for yourself as a learner. So we were really really careful and tried to be very thoughtful in our design of the modules to be embedding the principles of UDL.
Well, I'll jump in again and kind of dovetail with what Laura was saying, and tie it into one of the comments in the chat, and that being about there's plenty of acronyms, right, in education. I hear it called alphabet soup a lot. I've got kind of a funny story about that from yesterday. I teach a transition class, and one of the things I was teaching yesterday was about the self-determined learning model of instruction. SDLMI is the acronym for that. I see people nodding their heads. And I actually had, it's a graduate level class, and I had students present about some articles they read about it. And of course, they use the acronym SDLMI. And one of them got up to present and was trying to hook their computer up and said, "Oh no, I forgot my SDLMI cable, my dongle," right?
Right. Right.
And of course, they meant HDMI dongle. So at any rate, acronyms can be funny, but certainly they save time when you're working with professionals who share the same collective knowledge and collective definitions. But what Laura Bray was saying about reflection also ties into the class yesterday in the self-determined learning model of instruction. Of course, that operates with 3 phases. The first phase is set a goal. Second phase is make a plan. And the third phase, of course, is to reflect on it and circle back around. And did you make your goal? If not, what can you do different? And if you made your goal, how can you plow forward based off of that new learning? So at any rate, I really appreciate the time that the 3 of you took to put this together and the time to present it.
I do want to make mention of this, and I made mention of it in the module group, but our modules can be found on Canvas. So if you go to Canvas and you go to Canvas Commons, you can actually find our stuff there too. And the reason for that is so that you can pull it down and you can use pieces of it. And, we want the attribution, right? Because there was a ton of work to put in it, but really we want to make it an open resource. There's no reason to safeguard really great instruction, right? And there's no reason to safeguard resources that can help us all make really dope classrooms and dope learning experiences for kids, So feel free to hit them up on the Canvas.
And as we mentioned before, in the next few weeks, we'll have final versions of these resources on our cool webpage on our CAST website. So John, maybe we could, I don't know if we could let you know once they're all officially posted, and then you could share with the group, just so all of you know that you can access the links that we have in the slide and in the digital handout now, but the final products will be up very soon.
Yeah, Jenna, that would be great.
Great.
Whatever gets finalized, or a lot of times I know work is iterative. Anytime you have a new iteration that you feel is like worth sharing, please reach out to me, and I can update not only the event webpage for today, where these resources will live and how they're connected to the resource library, but I can also draw people's attention to it as well. So
that would be great. Thank you.
Fantastic. Other thoughts or questions for Jenna, Brian, or Layla before we hang up today? Well, then again, I really want to thank the three of you for getting this project and working on this project first and foremost, and pulling this together. But then also, you know, really focused on making practical, scalable tools that people can use in their coaching, right? So thank you for that piece of this project. Of course, thank you for taking the time to put together this presentation and coming today to provide the presentation. Like I said to people before, and people are probably aware, this recording, as well as the slide deck and the handout, will be available or are available on the SIG Network website. And so with that, again, thank you. And I really appreciate the flexibility. And Brian, you said your intent is to make this an open resource. You appreciate being acknowledged for the work you've put into it, but that these are flexible tools for people to access and use as an open resource. So I see lots of thank yous. With that, I'll wish everyone a fantastic Thursday afternoon, and I look forward to seeing everybody in our next meeting.
I think, John, you meant Friday Eve, right?
Friday.
It's a Friday Eve. Thursday is not a Thursday. It's the day before Friday. It's Friday Eve.
Oh, there we go. I'll go with
There you
that. I'll wish
go.
everyone a Friday Eve, and as long as we're pulling up Friday, we do have the Fidelity Friday happening tomorrow. So have a good Friday Eve, and I look forward to seeing those of you who can make it tomorrow. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. And thank
Bye,
you
everybody.
again for the invitation. It was wonderful to meet you all.
Yeah, thank you.